like to introduce to you Ms. Sucheta Dalal, whose session is on understanding money and the pitfalls that you may encounter. Ms. Dalal is the founder trustee of Moneylife Foundation and also the managing editor of Moneylife magazine. She has 30 years of experience in journalism with some of India's leading newspapers such as Times of India. She was awarded the Padma Shri in 2006 for her work in investigation, which includes Harshal Mehta scam of 1992 as well as other issues. She was a member at N.R. Narayan Murthy Committee on Corporate Governance, SEBI's Primary Market Advisory Committee, and the Investor Education and Protection Fund. Now, ma'am, please give her a round of applause.
Hi, is everyone awake?
Yes.
I didn't hear 40. Huh? No, but it's getting later and later, right? So you guys have the fun now. So, did I hear 40 voices? Is everyone awake?
Yes.
Good. So, this is the most important thing because you have to think about money. And the session is about looking at money, hopefully a little differently. What do you need money for? Everything, right? But let me first say what you don't need money for. Most important things in life that you don't need money for, right? And they don't even teach it to you properly in school. So manners, morals, respect, character, common sense, trust, patience, class, integrity, love, nothing needs money. Everything else, which is a really long list, needs money, right? Your education, your holidays, your fun, clothes, name it, and you need money. The reason why we spend a lot of time in Moneylife Foundation talking about telling you how to look at money differently is for two reasons. One is that this is not my view, this is research has shown that after so many millions of years of evolution, the human mind still understands danger as in physical danger. You see something, you see a lion, you know, the adrenaline pumps and you run. It's a reflex action. You don't have to think about it. The body just reacts and it works to save you. It doesn't work in this fashion when you see financial danger. So you have a load of savings, but nothing gets triggered up there to tell you, danger, this guy's a con man. In fact, the guys who are going to con you most out of your money are the smoothest talkers. Okay? So you need to start looking and at money differently and understanding risk. One of the main reasons why we have a problem understanding the risk involved with money is that all the returns that you get are after at least a year. You buy insurance, so unless you have a problem and make a claim, you don't know whether you made the right choice or not. You invest in a company, it's only about a year later when you actually want to encash. On paper, you can be very happy at a stock going up or down, but the real test is when you want to cash in, where's the stock price, right? So everything about money gives you a return later. It's not like consumer product. So what we tend to do is we look at money like this. I bought a mobile phone, I've read the literature, I plug it in, charge it, I can use it. Most simple is a pop-up toaster. You plug it in, it works, right? Money doesn't work like that. Most other things you can do a test drive. You want to buy this fancy car also, if you look like you have a deep pocket, they'll let you test drive it. But you can't test drive a mutual fund. You can't test drive an insurance policy. It's always an unknown risk. The bigger danger is that while the risk is unknown, while you don't recognize the danger, there's a constant sales pitch that is being bombarded at you to give you all the wrong signals. And who are the guys doing this? All these chaps. Okay? So Sachin Tendulkar is God. Go and see his movie. But he's telling you to buy child insurance, for God's sake. A whole village bought insurance because Sachin told them to do it. And that insurance gives the lowest possible returns. Okay? And Amitabh, I mean, superstar. I spend my time watching Tata Sky ads these days on his acting adda, okay? But what is he doing here? He's telling the security guys at the airport, bus 2 minutes, like Maggi noodles, to buy an insurance policy. It does not work like that. Ask people who buy insurance, most people end up with wrong decisions. Insurance, even experts, even finance experts are not able to decide in 3 hours of study. Far less, bas 2 minutes is what he says. And of course, my favorite is Irfan. What's he saying? Anyone remembers this ad? Which one?
I think it's like 1 lakh saving is enough for you when you retire. You need bigger one.
Kam insurance lene ki bimari. Right? So at Moneylife, we did some number crunching on this Kam Insurance Ki Bimari, and we discovered that the maximum number of policies rejected by a company or the company that was saying, Jada insurance lo, Jada premium bharo. So you're paying more, and the chances of you getting money are less and less. And if these guys want enough, companies, huge campaigns where they're paying all these stars, they're bombarding messages at you. Media, they're the ones who are getting the ads. So if someone is a big advertiser, you don't hear the media write anything negative about them because they lose money. And every single campaign runs into crores of rupees, and no media house today wants to lose that kind of money. I mean, there are few silly exceptions like Moneylife, but most of them do not want to lose that kind of money, especially if they're mainstream media. And like I said, the stars. So what do you do? How do you recognize the dangers? Any idea? Okay, I'm not going to tax you right now. Sorry, anyone has an answer?
By reading the subject documents.
Mm-hmm. Who's that? You. Okay, by reading the subject documents. Absolutely correct. That's a traditional way. Okay, which is what all companies have been bombarding us with. So, and it's not a small period of time. For the last 30, 40 years, companies have told you that if you make a mistake, it's a very good point that you're making, because all these years, people have told you that if you make a mistake, you're the idiot because you haven't studied the document, you haven't read the fine print. So we will use legal jargon, we will be vague about what we say, we will get the most obtuse lawyers to frame it in fine print, but it's your fault. You didn't read it. Okay? So you may be a student, you may be a doctor, you may be a rocket scientist, but you're supposed to understand finance and understand that fine print. Otherwise, you're the idiot or you're greedy. So it's a very, very good point. This is what they have been bombarding at us. And for the last 10 years, we've been saying, ever since there's been a global financial crisis, that is not true. It has to be the responsibility of companies to give you a product that is suited to you and not dump something which is going to make them money, which is going to earn them commissions, but they're dumping it on you. So, great point. So, one simple formula or thumb rule is what we have about money, which is, if it seems too good to be true, it usually is. So the minute something looks too good, easy money, fill up 2 little surveys, it's called Speak Asia, and you get $1,000. No, nobody is sitting around giving you that money. Okay? Go and introduce 2 more people and get them into a policy, you'll get 120% return. No, because you put money in a bank deposit, you're not earning more than 7% today. So anything that is offering you fantastic returns is actually doing something very simple. They're making a Buddhuram out of you. And, the industry is doing it so systematically. I want to show it to you with an example. And I'm not joking. Buddhuram is something that I picked up from them. It's called Truth in Advertising, okay? But look at how truthful they are. So that guy's Buddhuram, right? But do you know how really they're making you a Buddhu if you listen to that ad? Gold loans, and I'm talking about gold loans because I'm sure all of you at this age, if you need to go abroad and study and, there's not enough money at home and mother's taking out her jewelry and it's getting pledged, this is what this crap is about, okay? And you want to know how it works? So if you take a gold loan, and I've been telling this to people all the time, anybody here from a royal family with jewelry coming down hundreds of years, antique heirlooms? Nobody, right? We're all middle class people. So barring that jewelry, no jewelry is so bloody precious that you should pledge it and you want the same damn bangles back. In fact, you wait for a while, even your mother would want a newer model, newer designs, right? So we've been telling people, but because we see these ads and they're bombarded into our heads, anytime people need money, their first thought is, I'll take a gold loan. Okay? There are people who worked in our office. We do financial literacy all the time. They come and say, we take a gold loan because I need it for a short while. And look at what really happens. So you want 1 lakh of rupees, you give that much of gold, they give you only 70,000. The remaining 30 is called a haircut. Okay? And that is their buffer for their safety. If that is not enough, they have other costs. Okay? So they will add, their interest rates, first of all, are huge, anywhere between 15 to 25%. You have to shop around. Each company has a different rate. Then they have processing charges. Then they have valuation charges. All this adds up to at least 24%. Okay? Now, what we tell people is, instead of going and taking a gold loan, just sell the gold. You're going to pay 24% interest on gold that you already have. You're not even getting the full value of it. So if you're selling the gold, you'll get your full 1 lakh. If you're pledging it, you're getting only 70,000, right? So you sell the gold and you start buying back. You're going to pay that interest anyway, right? So when you go to pledge gold, you know you're going to pay. So you start buying back every month just the amount that you would have paid in interest. And here we've done some calculations. And look at how much of a budduram they're making out of you. It would take you 39 months to buy back the gold. It would take you 82 months if you're going to pay back interest at the kind of rate that they're talking about, 24%. And this chart is the interest. So you're paying more interest than the value of the gold. And yet, the companies giving you gold loans are booming on the stock market. Okay? A Muthoot, a Manappuram, the one which I talked about. And like they honestly tell you, budduram, they're making a budduram out of you. Right? And I mean, I'm sure none of you are going to pledge gold, but please go home and tell this to your mothers. Because the first time there's an emotional issue, the women are taking out their bangles and saying, no, my little beta has to study abroad. Okay? And they are making a monkey out of people twice over. So this is your first example of what they're doing. Now let me look at another way in which they make buddurams out of you. So you think smart people don't get cheated, or what's your view on who gets cheated and who makes mistakes?
The smartest
Smartest never get cheated, right?
The smartest, at times they do get cheated.
At times. Anyone?
Depends on the situation.
Anyone contesting this? Again, you would be shocked to know that this is not my view. This is research which shows high-achieving professionals are the most likely to be defrauded. So anyone sitting very smug here and saying, I've done my engineering, I've scored first, don't think that the seminar doesn't apply to you. More likely to be a victim. Okay? And let me give you an example. So what is the percentage you need to get into medicine? Anyone here? Into 90s, right? Now look at what this madam has done. This is a doctor who stays somewhere in Shivaji Park. Okay, Dadar definitely. Her name is Usha Mehta. And I'm putting these things up because this is in the newspaper. I've not made up this story. So what do people tell her? That a bunch of guys come and tell this clever woman that we get a chemical from Nepal and we take a currency note and we apply it by keeping few more pieces of paper below, and it replicates. And she believes it. They apparently showed it to her. If that wasn't enough, they told her, come to Lonavala and we will get your money replicated. So, you know how much she took along with her? 25 lakhs Okay, she goes to Lonavala and they pretend to go into the other room and apply chemicals, and then they said, oh, it's all got burnt, and then they come back to her and say that that's gone now, so now give us some more money because we have to import this chemical from Nepal. And when she threatens to go to the police, they tell her, you can't go to the police anyway, this is surely your black money. Okay, so you give us money, we'll come back with the chemical, otherwise there's nothing you can do about it. She still complains to the police, okay? And you believe it or not, you heard this morning, some of you had doubts whether the police will even register your complaint when you go. But madam's complaint is registered. They catch the guys and they recover some of the money. Now, you have to tell me what is wrong with this. First of all, is it wrong for the police to catch the guys? It's not wrong. They did the right thing. Yeah? They have to catch. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with it. So,
there is something, they should have caught the doctor also, because like she stored that black money and kept it with her to give it to these guys, and she was also like, you know, she was a part of the thing, like she herself wanted to like get more money, so they would have.
He gets a chocolate for this answer. Yeah.
It's not a magic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got it, 75%, because yes, the point is that this woman is first at fault because the law says, and this is something that you should know, especially after demonetization, that counterfeiting banknotes or using counterfeit notes or making or possessing instruments or material to counterfeit banknotes or even carrying stuff that resembles banknotes is an offense under section 489 and 489E of the Indian Penal Code. And the punishment is not small, it is 7 years. 7 years plus a fine or both. Okay? So when the woman went to the police to complain, they should have first locked her up and said that you have no business. I mean, if really it worked, she wanted to make her 25 lakhs into a crore. Okay? By counterfeiting currency, not by magic. So they should have first arrested her. They should have arrested those guys, but she needs to be arrested first. And you've been hearing ever since demonetization, government is even catching you for using, finding valid notes, which are the old demonetized notes. So forget about those. Counterfeit notes are something that you are not going to touch. And if you are stuck with fake currency, please do not try to pass it on, because if you pass it on successfully, you got away with it, you made a Budduram out of somebody else. But if you're caught with it, the consequences are huge. You can sit in the police station and cry and say, "Mujhe pata nahi tha, I don't want to get stuck with a 2,000 rupee note. It came out of the ATM with some other picture instead of Mahatma Gandhi." They don't care, right? So you have to get things right and you have to know the law. So anyone knows why you can't counterfeit currency by using little chemicals? Because currency has security features, right?
Yeah, there are particular indicators that this is a particular note.
Not just particular note, there are security features. How many people know what those security features are? Anyone? One is a number. Next?
The second is that silver line.
2, silver line, fine.
Third is that there's some white zone in which you place it in front of a light.
Hologram.
There is one hologram.
Third, okay. Any others?
For blind people, there's a braille.
Very good. Fourth. Anything else? Just 4? So now you guys have the 4 easiest ones that you've told me. And that means when you really get caught with some smart counterfeiting, which the Pakistani press apparently does, you will not know. So learn. Oh. So there's 17 points here. Not all the 17 are really security features. But I thought after demonetization, everybody would know. Have you all gone digital?
Ma'am, can you tell us a bit more what to do when we receive a counterfeit currency and we can't return it back, right?
We will not pass it on to anyone, but what to do further with it?
You have to file a complaint. Then you have to say where you got it from. Okay. So there are people who've got it also from bank ATMs sometimes, very rarely, but it has happened that counterfeit notes were even in the currency chest. But you just have to go and report it to the police. So there are two things. Okay. One is that you have to be practical. Do you want to spend a lot of time and effort for, luckily there's no 500 rupee note now, but if it's a smaller currency, the most counterfeited currency in the world is the American dollar, right? So even in India, the most counterfeited currency used to be the 500 rupee note. Now it's most likely to be the 2000 rupee note, because the higher the denomination, the more interest in people wanting to counterfeit it. So 2000 is not a very small amount, especially if you're studying. So you have to go and file a complaint. You will have to give details and you'll have to say where you got it from, which means that somebody who sold it to you is likely to be in trouble. If you know where you got it from, the best way is to go and approach that person and say, you've given me a counterfeit note, if you know where it is, and I'm going to file a complaint, or you take it back. But ideally, you just have to go and file a complaint. There's no other way. So that it starts an investigation.
If it's a 500 rupee note...
There's no more 500 rupee note. Oh, there are new ones,
Yeah. So I got an old note which was a 500, and I actually kind of investigated that lady's link, and I understood that she was likely to get it because she had some cross-border customers or something. So it was.
So you got a fake one?
Yeah, I got a fake one. She told me that give it back and I will give it back to you, but she wasn't meeting me, and I thought it was wrong that she will just give it off to some other girl. So I told her that I'm going to file a complaint, but she did not budge. And at that time, people around me told me that you will get caught if you file a complaint. So,
you know, again, if we're dealing with Indian police stations, it's usually a problem. I would not recommend that you walk alone to a police station and do it. It is in things like this that people like Dolphy's organization, Police Reform Watch, and others are useful. Because when you're filing a complaint like this, you go through a known credible source and go with them and take their help, then you're obviously going to be treated very differently. And I do suggest that follow that route. Okay, you must file a complaint, but I also would recommend that be practical. So don't walk alone to the police station or with another friend of yours and say, oh, they're not listening to me. Because as Dolphy told you in the morning, that the police 99% of the times are talking to crooks and criminals. And they're first of all, they don't expect an ordinary person to come to them. Okay, so when you come, they wonder whether you've got some angle, some game, you're trying to pass off something. So it's always nice to go through someone, the practical way to deal with it. So you guys missed out on a lot of basic things like the signature, the year of printing, and then there are all the new ones, which is those lines and, you know, hologram, and others are the simple things. But may not be a bad idea to know what your 2000 rupee note has, because it's going to be important. Okay, some more fun questions. Anyone knows what's special about these notes? They're 1 rupee notes. How clever. Yes, of course, they're 1 rupee notes. Anything else? No? Guys are all digital, is it? First of all, is it available?
Yes, no, it's not.
No.
Not anymore.
Correct. Anyone? No, that's not that either.
Those white circles again, there used to be something for.
No, okay. So the 1 rupee note is the only currency that is not signed by the Reserve Bank governor. So anyone knows who signs it?
The finance minister?
Wrong.
President?
Wrong. Anyone?
Prime minister?
No. No, it's the only one not signed by the RBI governor. So you all know the story of demonetization. When we had a new governor, they had the plates ready with just his signature to be taken. So not RBI governor. Anyone else?
It has to be somebody lower than RBI governor.
You're hinting. No, it's signed by the finance secretary. Okay? And the finance secretary has been, these are guys with big egos. So these notes, the currency printing was stopped a long time ago. So I think the last time it was printed was when Montek Singh Ahluwalia wanted a 1 rupee note with his signature on it. So he managed to get a small bunch, which is why it's very correct that you don't get a 1 rupee note anymore. It's only coins, but they can't sign a coin, right? So everyone has an ego. He's become a finance secretary. He wants to have these notes with his name on it. So the last time they had the note was in 2005. I think after that they were discontinued, and a very small bunch of notes were printed, and those are the ones with Montek Singh Ahluwalia's signature. Then much later you had a new finance secretary who is now your home secretary. His name is Rajiv Maharishi, and he decided that I need to have notes also. And what is scandalous about this? Yes, what is scandalous about it? And maybe Mr. Gandhi will tell you, file an RTI to figure out what the hell is happening here, is that the cost of printing each of these notes is 1.4. Okay, the value is 1 rupee and the cost of printing it is 1.4, and these notes are not available. Now, if I wish some of you had answered questions correctly, but I have a bunch of notes which apparently I'm told on PayPal cost a lot more than 1 rupee because they are rare. Okay, so anyone gets further questions right are going to get this nice 1 rupee because I'm the only person distributing money that you know of. There are other things over here. One is this. Indian currency is about the only currency which has a story. So you had a little Swachh Bharat thing. So it might be worth noticing that all our currency notes at the back of them are depicting something or the other, and that makes the notes unique. And I don't know if anyone bothered to keep a 500 rupee note that was demonetized, because that's also going to have a lot of value, and you're allowed to keep some. You have? Okay, good. So each of our Indian notes also has a currency. So now we move on from there to more Buddhu Ramgiri. So what else happens? It is how people cheat you with what we call Ponzi's, multi-level marketing schemes, money circulation schemes. So these are 10,000 people. If I had to say I'm going to teach you financial literacy, I wouldn't get more than 100 people willing to come and listen. But 10,000 people here are sitting outside Crawford Market police station because they say they lost money. They invested in a company called City Limousine. It's a long, long time ago. And they're all gathered there to tell the police, do something, kuch karo. And what do we know? That 6,000 policemen themselves had invested in this, 200 income tax officers, 15 from the RBI, 300 from Mantralaya. That means everybody who should have known better was actually an investor in these schemes. And you know how much money he raised? 6,500 crore. Now, what is special about these schemes, and we call them, money circulation schemes, is that they offer a huge return. So he was offering a return of 120%, and he actually paid that money for 2 years. So from 2007 to 9, when you guys were all very, very young, this guy was luring people by saying, paisa do, and he would pay that interest very fast. So while everybody else asks you to wait for 1 year most of the time to get your interest, this guy was paying it in 3 months because he wanted enough of people going around to flash a check saying, dekho mujhe mil gaya, right? And the minute you show someone that I've got a check with this kind of return, 5 others jump in. In fact, they stand in queue to say, where should I put my money? And he himself, he's seen that it gives you returns. So he's withdrawn all his fixed deposits and put the money in these schemes. After enough of money is collected, it's a pyramid that is formed. These guys just vanish. And who is the guy? I mean, a key to all this is that they are all the time seen with people that matter. So this man was a great nationalist. He was all the time seen with Dilip Kumar and Shah Rukh Khan, had his photos in the paper on page 3. He made a film called Chak De India. Okay? Today, he and his entire family is absconding. the bunch of people, and there are tens of thousands of them, are still waiting for their money. Some of them have created an association. Yeah, someone has a question? Okay. Some have created an association, filed a case. We have known of no instance where this kind of money comes back. Okay. And these are called, there are 3 kinds of scams, all in the same family. Okay. One is what we call a Ponzi, which is, Ponzi is named after a gentleman called Ponzi who ran it in the US. It's one of the most successful scams because what they promise is a high return. Lots of people give you the money. They use the same money. They're not putting it in any business. They're not earning anything. They always have a fiction of some kind of business going on. So some used to pretend that they're investing in the stock market and they're super geniuses and earning huge returns. Anything that sounds plausible sometimes is not even plausible. Like I told you, Speak Asia. So do some surveys and we're paying you $1,000. People were happy to believe that a survey that can be filled up by a second standard student was something for which you were getting 1,000 rupees. But they collected 1,000 crores in less than a year because people are so gullible when it comes to high returns. So one is a pyramid scheme. One of them is a binary scheme where each one says that you will get a high return as long as you bring at least one more person. Okay? It's called a binary scheme scam. Most of the time they say bring 3 more people or 5 more people. I'm sure you guys have heard of QNet. Yeah, so QNet also says, I'm selling you a product, but get in more people. Sometimes they brainwash them. Then there's a third category. It's called the advance fee scam. So there'll be somebody who will tell you, you won this lottery. It's a Nigerian scam. Any of you get emails about it? Yes. Lot, right? Exactly. And you would be surprised at how many people fall for it. So you're going to get $25 million because some African dictator has died and his widow has chosen you to use your bank account, and you are rushing to say, yes, please, how can I be of help to you? And they say, okay, I'm transferring the money to you. Small little hitch, I need $1,000 paid somewhere. So you say 25 million is what I'm getting, I'll pay the 1,000. So the minute they've got you hooked, the money is about to come into your account, transferred by RTGS tomorrow morning, but some little hitch will happen at 11 in the night and you have to pay a little more. So this time from 1,000, it's 2,500. Since you've already invested $1,000, you're not willing to lose that. So it's all just playing on your mind, psychographics. So you're paying the 2,500. And then there is something else, and then there's something else, and then there's gold coming through a diplomatic bag which is coming from Africa, going to land up in Goa. You're going to be called there. So you spend your own money, catch a flight to go to Goa because you're expecting, what, $25 million? What is a ticket to Goa? $5,000? So you buy that. And they keep cheating you as long as you are biting. Okay? The day you wake up, that's when you realize that I've lost money. So you can wake up at 1,000, you can wake up at 10 lakhs, you can wake up at 35 lakhs, real stories that I'm talking about. And it's not necessarily an African dictator. Every few months you get it from RBI governor, and they do the homework enough to find out even the names of the governor, the governor's wife. We've got mails from Ramlinga Raju of Satyam, who just declared that his company was a fraud. Then Rajaratnam, I don't know whether you know him. So he's sitting in jail in the US. So the mail comes out in the name of his wife, saying he had huge amount of ill-gotten gains, and I'm desperate to transfer them, so I've chosen you. And nobody pauses to think, why me? I mean, how does she know me? And why am I getting it? No, all you see is this large number, and people are falling for it. Many of you said you don't read the papers, but those of you who do, start reading. Every second day, there is a report about someone having fallen for it, okay? So this is not a small scam. As I said, research shows, and we are not the only Buddhurams, it's the easiest way to scam people around the world. It is the biggest scam in the world. And the FBI in the US, the SEC, have whole teams working on it. In fact, if you hear of anybody being scammed, just do a Google and say Nigerian scam FBI, Nigerian scam SEC, and you will get a website and a link saying send the complaint here, because we are trying to track these guys down. The number of people scamming is always 4 steps ahead of what any authority can do in terms of catching them. And this is on the FBI website in the US. We've just copy pasted it. So they've tried to ban them. So the binary schemes 1-to-1 are banned. But they still are there underground, illegal, nobody knows. Because every time someone comes and tells you, वहाँ पे invest करो, बहुत return है. And किसी को नहीं बोलना. Okay? Because you're getting 120%, 200%. So they're all telling you, this is our secret. And so illegal schemes flourish because everybody is caught up in that greed of trying to keep it hidden rather than report it. And that's how they flourish and they keep growing. So we've talked about 100 plus returns. Sometimes it's not even 100. Something as sad as the Sharda scam, which saw 23, 24 people committing suicide, was offering a return of just 15% or so. Okay? Even that is 5 to 7% higher than a bank fixed deposit, and it's enough to lure people. And like I said, nothing Indian about it. A lot of these companies are global. They're banned in so many countries. And the largest of these Ponzi's that are operating in India are multinational companies. And who are the kind of people they lure? Now look at this guy, okay? This is, anyone recognizes him? So this Buddhuram gave 7 lakhs before he woke up. And he thought even then it's good publicity to get a story out there saying I'm a trusting guy. So I gave 7 lakhs rather than saying I'm a Buddhuram, I gave 7 lakhs, right? And who are the kind of people who loot? They're all the people around us. Look at this. Okay, she's another one from his fraternity, and she and her boyfriend, of course, are in jail just now, but she was promising a return of 200 to 400%. And before they got caught, they had collected a humongous amount of money, running into hundreds of crores. So it's not small sums. And I keep saying this because the number of people caught is, just today, before I came into this session, I sent an SMS to the SEBI chairman because I read in the Times of India today that an assistant manager of SEBI had fallen for one of the simplest tricks that's going just now. It's called wishing. Wishing and phishing. Phishing is when somebody sends you an email saying your account is going to be blocked, right? And wishing is when they do the same thing on the phone. So they called him up and said your debit card is going to be blocked, otherwise give us your CVV, and he gives it. So I've sent him a SMS saying instead of educating college students about financial literacy, I think we need to first do it for the Securities and Exchange Board of India. So, I mean, you all are lucky you're coming here because believe me, this may sound simple, but you would be surprised how few people even know about it. So now let's go to Buddhuram 4, okay? So this is about credit cards. Now, how many of you think credit cards is a good thing? Good thing? Okay. Why? Sorry? I didn't understand.
If you know how to use it well, like if you're caught in a flight situation, like if the flight is cancelled and if they're demanding extra money from
you get 1 rupee for that answer. Pass it on to her. What he said cash, yeah.
People also often run into debt because they always pay the minimum amount that you require from the credit card company, and like a couple of years down you have like a huge debt and you're just stuck.
So you should not have, what's your thesis, that cards are bad or cards are good?
You should be smart about it. So you shouldn't just be paying a minimum payment like for months at end. People like get on track.
Absolutely. So that gets you 1 rupee, but we'll talk about why. Pass it on. Okay, anyone else? Good or bad?
I feel it's not good. Like it depends actually because like say example you are making a payment using a credit card. Now say someone's standing behind you and like say they see you entering your password, like whatever code you have to enter.
No.
And then
I believe it tends to make you a bit careless. Like when you don't have money still you
So would you get yourself a credit card or you won't?
Debit card definitely.
You won't get a credit card?
I'll avoid it.
Wrong.
I will avoid it.
Okay.
It's a very good thing to have a credit card because first of all a cashless money, and in credit card you have limits as well. You can take select your particular range around it. I have a credit card, even the bank selects selects the particular range. Like if I own a credit card, I have a 10,000 limit. So So I can't go beyond that. If I go beyond it, directly a message, SMS will come to me that you have reached out your limit. So, and credit card is quite safe, I guess. Like if someone pick pocket shoot, there's no cash in your wallet. If there's a credit card, you can directly call the bank and tell them that
they can spend your credit card also, right?
But you can block the card. You can just directly call the bank and they'll do it on the spot. Right now, currently they take.
Okay, so your reasons are good, but I don't quite agree. I'm going to give her a chance behind. Tell me.
Yeah, I think you should have it, but again, like be safe with it because if you take credits, the interest rates are really high. So I think everybody should own a credit card, especially if you're traveling abroad and all that. Like you should have a Visa card, but you shouldn't like really take the credits.
Super. So now they're going to get 2 rupees, one here and one there. Yogesh? Okay, so a lot of your answers are correct, and I agree, you need a credit card, okay? Because you booked a flight, the airline just cancels. What do? You're stranded in another city. So my point is not that it is cashless, as you said, but because it is simply credit. Okay, so sometimes in life you need instant credit, and only a credit card gives it to you. A debit card is of no use over there because you need to have the money in your bank. If you don't have the money, you can't spend. So you stranded in another city, somebody is in hospital, you need to rush them there. You can't run around. I mean, it's a choice. Do I call an ambulance or do I go around gathering 20,000 rupees to pay for the admission? So if you have a credit card, you get in there. And Kingfisher is a real story, okay? Lots of people were just stranded in different parts of the country because they cancelled something like 50 flights in one day. What do? And, another airline will tell you, I'll book you, but you have to pay. And you don't have the money. Only on a credit card can you buy yourself the time to come back home. You're buying those 20, 30 days of time, and you're going to be able to pay. So a credit card is useful. As she said, you're going abroad, you need money. You never know what situations you may face. At least you have instant credit. But there is a problem.
Tickets for your parents' first international vacation, 110,000 rupees on your MasterCard. Renting a luxury car, 8,000 rupees. Tickets to the amusement park, 5,600 rupees. Watching your parents become children again, priceless. There are some things.
Beautiful ad, right? Now, this is what is wrong with credit cards. Because we keep saying if the parents realize that this Buddhuram did not have the money and he's going to pay a huge interest after they've gone back to India after being children again, they're probably going to be, that's going to be the look that is really priceless, because here they are thinking that he's doing so well, he can afford the limousine, and all he's doing is flashing plastic, which is money that he does not have. This is not what you're going to spend for. But the messages that are bombarded to you all the time, and this MasterCard Priceless campaign has won possibly every award. It's one of their most famous campaigns because this lures the maximum number of Buddhurams. You constantly being told, you don't need the money, just spend it, you have a plastic. No, that is not what the credit cards are supposed to be. And this is the reason why you don't have to. Now, the interest rate on credit cards is nothing like you pay for a personal loan, which is about 15 to 17%. It is as much as 40 to 65%. Okay? Now, the trap is not just the high interest. The high interest is a simple part. What happens is when you roll over your credit. So, as you said, 15% is what you pay, because if you look at, I don't know whether all of you have credit cards, you're still students, but if you go to study abroad, the first thing you will need is a credit card. And remember this, at the top of it, all it says, you need to pay only so much, okay? So your bill is 10,000 bucks, and they're calculating 15% of that because they're constantly messaging you to say, don't bother to pay 10, pay only 15%. Why? Because on the 15%, they're earning zero. In fact, they don't even earn the cost of the card or the annual monthly statement that they sent you. They earn the money on what you roll over. because that's where they're going to charge you 40 to 65%. And the 40 to 65 is a wide range because if it's a nationalized bank, the interest rate is low. If it's a private bank, it's a little higher. If it's a foreign bank, it's even higher. And one of the things we keep saying is that this is the beauty about finance. The only difference between brands is how much you pay, not in the service you get, not in the interest that you get. Okay? Now, what happens when you roll over? And this is a wonderful thing. So we had somebody who wrote to us saying that I just went to Goa with my friends, and then I came back and I bought a couple of dresses, and then we had one party, and then I don't know, I just spent 15,000 bucks, and now I've got a bill of 1.5 lakhs. So we said, how many days ago was that? So that was 6 months ago. Okay, so look at what happens. You spend on a ticket to Goa in one credit cycle. You paid 15%, the rest is carried over, which is going to be charged at 40 to 65%. If you went for that, bought those two dresses in the next credit cycle, then that is straight away added on. You have no more free credit period. Okay, so everybody thinks that I have free credit for 40 days or 60 days, depending on what the terms of your card are. It's not true. You have a free credit only if you don't have outstanding. If you have an outstanding, it just gets straight away added on and the full credit is charged. She goes back and spends on something else, and then this money starts compounding at this humongous rate, and next thing you know, the recovery agents are yelling and knocking at your door and abusing you to say, sell your kidney, but pay the money back. Okay, it's not pleasant, believe me. There are people who've been driven almost to suicide because the kind of people who are employed to make these recoveries are invariably underworld. So they use underworld companies whose little more legitimate side business is recovery agents. That is the kind of person you're dealing with. So it sounds very priceless and sophisticated when you're looking at the ads, but when you're unable to pay, you're dealing with absolutely low down, dirtiest level of people that are most abusive. That is what is priceless. Okay? And then one of the things that happens with guys your age, okay, is, I'm sorry, I mean, sometime in life we Buddhas should feel happy, right? Which is this, and I'm sure Salish will be very happy to hear this, which is that unlike our times, every damn thing you do is being tracked. Okay, it's going to get worse when you get yourself an Aadhaar card, but everything that you do is tracked. The first thing that's being tracked officially is when you borrow. So whether you're borrowing for the bike or you're borrowing on a little EMI, you bought a phone, and every company will say you can pay an EMI. You buy some little thing in Urban Ladder and they'll say, do you want to pay everything or do you want an EMI? The minute you get into a borrowing relationship, you go get reported to one of these 4 credit rating agencies. So CIBIL, Experian, Equifax, they're not happy with one. There are 4 of them tracking you. Okay? And what are they tracking? Are you on time? Have you delayed payment? And have you skipped a few EMIs? And all this is put into what is called a score. So they have an algorithm. They convert your behavior into a score, and that is called your credit score. Now, in an ideal world, especially in the US, if you have a terrific credit score, and remember, it's going to be really important in your lives, because in the US, I mean, women don't want to date guys who have low credit score, and smart guys, doesn't matter how hot the girl, are not going to go anywhere near her if she has a bad credit, because it's a lifetime problem. You cannot get a credit card at a low interest rate, you cannot get mortgage, you cannot get loans, you can't even get an education loan except at extremely high rates. In India, it is even worse, because if you are marked a defaulter, you just do not get a loan period. Okay? There are some people who are now saying that if you're able to prove beyond any doubt that you have turned a new leaf, you got yourself a fantastic job, they may give you a small chance to rebuild your credit, but by and large, you're a defaulter, you don't get credit, right? So this is something very important for all of you, because lots of kids take an education loan, take a bike loan. Do you know that loans for bikes are the maximum reason for defaults on credit cards? Because people think, kya kar lega? You know very well that a bike company, how much is a bike? 30,000, 40,000 bucks. You also know that the resale value is even less. 13,000, 15,000. You know that the company is not going to file a police case and chase it because they're going to spend more doing the chasing. So lots of people used to say, kya kar lega? I'm not going to pay. Now the companies have a weapon in their hand. They simply report you as a defaulter. And you think that you've scored on them, but when you go to take a loan, when it really matters in your life, you want to open a investment account, a demat account, you want a credit card. You can't travel abroad today without a credit card. You cannot get a credit card if you're a defaulter. Okay? So this is really important for all of you to know. You have to be very, very punctual about your payments because the price is not worth paying. It's too high. Okay? And you have to remember this. The second thing that happens to you today is social media, okay? So you are being tracked all the time. I don't know how many of you read that story this morning about the guy who killed his mother, a policeman's son, you remember? And he drew a little smiley saying how he's fed up of her and ran to Jodhpur. Do you know that he's been caught? Why do you think he was caught? Two reasons, okay? He was smart enough. Being a policeman's son, he knew that the first way they're going to track him is his mobile. So he left it at home. But idiot went and logged on to social media. And the minute he did that, they knew he's in Jodhpur, they caught him. And this is happening over and over again. I'm not saying you should go out and murder someone, and I'm not giving you tips for what you do over there. But believe me, for everything that you do, it can be something as simple as, you bunked college, or you bunked work, and then you're posting this soppy picture of you at a party last night with a wine glass in your hand, and who knows who's watching it. Everybody's tracking. Credit recovery companies, the first thing they do is track. Even worse, when you apply for a job, okay, many people very smartly say, I have a blog and this is my blog, read what I write. But what they don't know is that a lot of HR companies are going and reading what you put on social media. You have a closed group and keep it closed, fine. But there's no guarantee that your friends are not going to have an open page where people can go and track you. But very good algorithms exist today, and all HR companies are tracking what you do. So have fun, but you don't have the luxury of what we had, being stupid and the world not knowing about it. Today you're stupid, everybody knows about it. So you have less of a chance of making mistakes, because selfies is a wonderful thing, but it is also deadly. And I would suggest that all of you go back and even tell your parents, please, for God's sake, don't post everything on social media, because they're the generation that doesn't realize the consequences, okay? So we have a case where somebody doesn't come to office, but her daddy has posted that my little darling was celebrating some birthday, and again, glass of wine in her hand. So you know why she's not come to work. It's very simple. And daddy is on the same Facebook page with employers, maybe your college principal, maybe somebody else. So it doesn't, you can face the consequences even of what your parents are going to put up on social media. So I think yours is a generation which has to start rethinking what you're putting out there and being very, very careful about what goes up, because there will be consequences to this. The third is very simple, that people who are out to cheat, whether it is theft, there are people who are tracking. Guys who go on vacation, so they know where you are, and you're posting, going to America 20 days, so everyone knows your house is going to be locked. It's the most stupid thing to do, okay? And finally, you have all these crazies who are out on social media who are waiting to trap. So I talked about these various advance fee scams. There's a huge number of people who are being befriended by pedophiles, where women who are getting proposals, meeting friends, and this is happening fairly regularly. Start reading the papers and you will see that people are getting murdered. Where have they met the person? On Facebook, okay? There are women who are promised marriage, guy is going to come back from abroad, and where have they met him? On Facebook. It's happening all the time. One is not joking. Businessman who's offered in this advance fee scam, he loses 4 lakhs. Where has he met the guy? Offering him a great business deal. It's on Facebook, okay? Here, the woman is offered marriage. I mean, there are hundreds of these, and this one has got 350 girlfriends, for heaven's sake. So please be careful about who you befriend on social media, right? So to sum up, scamsters, tricksters, perverts are also lurking there if you're very free with your friendships. Then you have lenders, recovery agents, credit card companies who are tracking you. You have HR heads who are tracking you. Potential employers are tracking you. And finally, when you want to rent a place, all over the world, even landlords, they want to know more about what you are, where you come from. Have you really got transferred as you claimed, or did you murder someone and come? The fastest way is to go to Facebook and check out a little bit about what you are all about, right? Finally, I'm not going to do this too much because Yogesh is talking about digital literacy, which is again a huge area for you, but know your customer is what KYC stands for. And everywhere they ask you for 3 documents, which is, self-attested copies of whatever, your residence, PAN card, and everybody is smartly carrying a set. KYC chahiye? Here, take this. And it is getting dangerous because a lot of people, you remember when demonetization happened, they said they're going to check an identity. So the guys who are using identity like this to stand in queue to change 4,000 rupees at a time, so it's quite possible it's misused. For this, we talk about just a simple thing, that if you're submitting documents, sign over there so that it's an original, write what it is for. So if you're giving a document to Reliance Jio to get that free connection, write there to Reliance Jio, so-and-so date, and your signature, so that it's very clear that this document, and put it where your identity or photo is so that it can't be misused, right? Finally, this is an interesting one that you should see, because I've talked a lot about what you should not do, right? And I think we should talk about finally who succeeds. Who are the ones who know what is the right thing to do and how they go about doing it. So this is an experiment. It's a world famous experiment. It's called the Marshmallow Experiment. And it is done by this man called Joachim Posada. I think you're all smart enough to read it and look at it yourself. So
I have a very important message. I think we have found the most important factor for success. And it was found close to here, Stanford. Psychology professor took kids that were 4 years old and put them in a room all by themselves. And he would tell the child, a 4-year-old kid, Johnny, I'm going to leave you here with a marshmallow for 15 minutes. If after I come back, this marshmallow is here, you will get another one. So you will have 2.
Otros, en cambio, resistieron el impulso.
Okay, I'll be back.
Get away. I wonder what we're gonna do. Are you gonna eat it? Is that fun to eat something? Or we're still not gonna get to? But if you wait until she gets back, she'll give you 2. She still won't give you 2 because you ate it. Some of it. And I didn't eat a single bite of it. So don't show her, okay?
Well, you're eating, not waiting for her to give back. Still ate some of it, so she's still not gonna give it to him. What is she? Just stay in your chair.
Good job!
That child already at 4 understood the most important principle for success, which is the ability to delay gratification. Self-discipline, the most important factor for success. 15 years later, 14, 15 years later, follow-up study. What did they find? They went to look for these kids who were now 18 and 19, and they found that 100% of the children that had not eaten the marshmallow were successful. They had good grades, they were doing wonderful, they were happy, they had their plans, they had good relationships with the teachers, students, they were doing fine. A great percentage of the kids that ate the marshmallow, they were in trouble. They did not make it to the university, they had bad grades, some of them dropped out, a few were still there with bad grades, a few had good grades.
How'd you do?
Oh.
You did good.
Hard, it was so hard.
You wanted to eat it, right? Well, I told you I'd give you another one. Now you have both.
So you know what's the lesson here? It's not just good fun. It is good fun, but it's a small marshmallow, okay? No big deal. You'd think, what's the big deal? I don't even like them. But you're sitting right in front of it. You have to sit there for 15 minutes without moving and not eat it, okay? The temptation is so huge, and this is the story of life. Because if you are able to say no, life is about being able to say no sometimes to temptation, and this works wonderfully when it comes to money, because money is something, the older people there, the adults, were being bigger idiots than the kids, right, when it came to the marshmallow. And you would think, what would an adult want a marshmallow for? But this is the point, that you have to learn to say no. Only when you say no are you going to get higher returns. And this applies so wonderfully in something as simple as compounding, because we keep saying in Moneylife that 90% of the products offered to you in the financial world or hard sold to you are not required and are not important. But if you put your money safely and compound it steadily, you're likely to earn significantly higher returns. Now, all of you are in college, so I don't think you need to know what is compounding. So you know the basics, right? So you're earning 10% interest, it's 11,000 rupees, you reinvest it, you know, this is the kind of return that you get. You keep adding to it, so it's not just 10,000 and the 1,000 rupee interest, you're not just reinvesting 11,000, you're adding another 10,000 to it the next year, and that's how your money starts growing. So you compound with additional investment every year, and these are the kind of numbers that you have, because the money keeps growing. And you want to know how it looks when you plot it on a chart over a period of time. So this is just your 10,000 that you're adding every year. But this is what happens to the interest. The interest is so significantly higher, and it requires the same marshmallow attitude and temperament to say that I will say no to spend that 10,000 and I will invest it, or I will reinvest it. I will not go to Goa. I will not go and watch who's that guy who was lip syncing the other day. So, right. So you're not going to spend money on that, but you're going to put it in a bank account. It is not easy. It is as difficult as resisting the temptation of eating the marshmallow, right? So with all this happening, and you've got really smart now, you're not the 99% types, but you've done a financial literacy course, but things can still go wrong, right? Because that's life, shit happens. So you need to know, what do you do then? So you have a problem, you have to know how to fight it out. So as Dolphy sir was saying, you have an issue, you have to go to the police station, grit your teeth. You lose something, you lose money, you've been unfairly cheated. You do call the National Consumer Helpline, it works. Today you have a Prime Minister who's created this new pgportal.gov.in. Even that works. You may not use it, something that you may want to tell your parents. And you have to know that ultimately there are solutions to this also. Big yawn. Okay, thank you everybody. This is where the financial literacy ends.